Salutations, labdien, konnichiwa, bonjour. Doubtless it isn't midday, but if it is, good fortune. Give me a new greeting to add to the repertoire. Returning to, or welcome to, for the first time, to Ship of Fools, an early modern development made by Talendar and a few other people. Found on factorio.com's mod portal, now with 100% more Blender added into the mix. The goal of today, interplanetary logistical challenges, trying to build off what the devs put down within Factorio's expansion, Spaceage. For today, promises to be a good one as we ascend and then subsequently descend to the best planet. Its swampy puddles are roiling, the residents are less than enthusiastic about the bulldozer set loose, and automating explosive, unnamed cream tan, colored appendages with red-ended bits. Why, we can make rockets of the military variety. Though that's further in, right now it's time for a final overview of Pelagos, as it'll be left in this state pretty much forever and then forgotten because other planets are better for shipping in supplies than others. While it might look fully functional, it is all an act of mirrors and cloaks. The pipes burst on occasion, and we lose someone also on occasion. No body, just gone. They got him. But that's a bunch of phooey. In this industrialized economy, with air travel and now interplanetary transportation goals... Oh, right, I almost forgot about Legumus, and, it's fully set up to, do nothing. I had something planned, but it won't really come into effect until both Fulgora, Arig, Ceres, and now Vis are completed, so, for now, it just looks nice. The coordinates are locked in, and the prospective research opportunities are vast, yet deep as a puddle. I'm very interested in the wood pulp to nutrients, however. That promises to be fun. Skipping over the weight, into the air, and look at the supplies I am to use. Remember to have everything, and forget something, because you will always forget something, which is why we have a constant supply of random bits and bobs, set up on Pelagos. One might even call it a supply line.
Off to the races, Gromit. Don't forget the cheese and crackers now.
A satisfactory entrance into orbit over soil. No sense in wasting oxygen. Downwards and into the atmosphere. And soon, the soil. Throw down that cargo landing pad and the bays to increase overall volume received. A little bit of tech you can use is to pick up and place down the landing pad, the cargo landing pad, and over to scan a large swath of area. The higher the quality of said landing pad, better the range it scans. It helps with the early footfall and is more useful on Fulgora, but you know, it can help in a pinch. The trigger tech of Stromalites, in this case, iron bacteria. And now I've comprehended agriculture. Again, could this itself be a form of cultivation of chi, the cycle of samsara? No, far too spiritual. We all know factories are soulless. Said Stromalite unlocks a bunch of recipes, biochamber exclusive, and with Gleba, I have access to a better overall biochamber recipe that isn't reliant on a 5-minute spoiling ingredient. Well, it still spoils, but I can kill it when it hatches out. You'll see. A mandatory bit of deforestation, but no wood, only spoilage. Yes, entire trees made of rot. Just wait until I tell Soft Products about this. I'll get a 3.2% stake in the Root Rot Soft Drink Company share, now with 40% more harmful bacteria. The first instance of local violence from an opposing force is documented, and won. These Pentapods have 5 appendages, are shaped like spiders, and launch their children like projectile rockets. That kind of gives me an idea for a versatile arachnid walker. That's probably nothing. The Pentapods themselves are much more dangerous than the Pelagosian copperbiter. Whereas they were waterbound, these insectoid beings are not at all shy to chase and stomp me down. The creatively identified Stomper is the worst offender in this, as they have no ranged component, but a thick shell and lack of anything resembling brain matter. They just thunk away and are the primary problem on Gleba at large. Why? Those feet do in fact stump. The solution is simple. However, that is for later. Next up, the flux of biological origin, made of squashed Yumiko and brain jelly. A super nutrient food is brought into this world. It is another trigger technology and will lead into sustainable fuel, plastic, and eventually, science. Though this brings into question how we are supposed to get wood. Thankfully, I've got a lot of boom for that, and by boom, I mean puff. Nonsense to that. However, for the moment, I still need basic agricultural practices, and that means claiming the first jelly nut swamp. It'll be poor for the time being, but I'll be awash with these pink nuts later on. More so than Yumiko's, but as per the space age standard, I forgot something. That something is the robopause for consistent agricultural practices, as mentioned earlier. A moment. Just because it ain't the sea doesn't mean we skip out on our belts. It's part of a balanced breakfast, you know. I will take this time to say people struggle with Gleba, and whilst I cannot offer a foolproof solution or advice at the current moment, rest assured, if you stick around, I'll make you a vanilla guide to regular Factorio that you can follow, and his expansion Space Age, because Factorio is a fun game, and I want more people to play it. You will be cursed, and I shall be the reason. Processing of organic components introduces spoilage. I've already been dealing with that on Pelagos, so this is second nature to me. If nothing in use, and it is biological in origin, burn whatever you don't need is the general rule. But getting consistent power with solar sucks. So, prop up a heating tower and feed those seeds back to the farms. Logistics bots are the easiest option to use given provider red chests, and requesters, light blue chests, and inserter to grab whatever is plucked by Agri Tower and put into the provider. A logistic to request seeds, and the fruits of labor. And like that, basic sustainability. But assemblers does not a Gleba make. With Pelagos, however, and a bit of land appropriation, that being digging, I have just enough biochambers to speed up this glebtastic adventure, so most of the rough and tumble portion of Gleba won't be so horrid. Basic 60 to 0.6, nah, tear it down. Move it? No. This is the lovely part of Gleba where I crank the lever of memory and try to fish out the designs that I made before. The weaving of spoilage to nutrient assemblers could use some thinking, in all honesty. It keeps a somewhat oval shape I like, but what can I say? Circles scratch the brain. Maybe I'll do some diagonal designs later. That'd be fun. Though, with a bit of processing on the line, I can get some extra bits of soil to increase what land is farmable. We get past Aquilo and Vesta, it'll really skyrocket. The recipe is simple. Landfill, seed of the plot type you want, and nutrients. A lot of nutrients. Make sure to set a limit on how much you produce. Gleba is sneaky in that it fools you into thinking it underproduces. It doesn't. It exceeds production. I know the Yumikos look barren, but we have to get some yields in before we can engage in healthier soil practices. Much like Gleba's style, the factory grows like an organism. Slowly, but steadily. That, however, doesn't mean I am above laziness and forcing my way through certain tech triggers. Go, my singular mashing biochamber. This then proceeds to the next logical point of processing, jelly nut, and if you hadn't figured, I'm rolling the dice on seeds so I can make farmland easier. I think the natives are starting to smell what is cooking. A most nefarious concoction brews. Heating towers into pipes, pipes into exchangers. Water becomes steam. Steam is placed within the tanks to act as a battery in case things muck up, or I wire something wrong. It happens more often than you think. The harvest comes in, gets belted to the middle, and is fed into the biochambers, making nutrients. They aren't fed right now, but some handcrafting will fix that. After that, it'll run so long as it keeps a good cycle. Not a flawless solution, mind you, but the factory needs to jog before it can run. And yes, those actions are performed differently. The belt spoils, but that matters not. I planned for this, with the assembler, you see, so it'll process the spoilage. Given the nutrients, keep the biochambers fed just enough for the freshest nutrition to cycle through to the fruit processing, and thus the eternal loop. Unless it dies randomly. Because that is a major flaw of this design. It bites me in the back multiple times.
It's a real problem. A real big problem.
Now, on to figuring out a proper setup for the fruit processing itself, and...
Oh wait, I can use some tech for this.
Behold, belt weaving. Belts of different colors do not share the same underground. Think of it like a separate belt. So the blue belt cannot enter the red, and red cannot enter blue. This allows you to fit 4 items onto the belt, so any recipes with 3 ingredients can also be made. The problem, however, is that the use case for this tech are few. In this instance, I'm mainly using it to get the starter base going. The actual bioprocessing line will not use it. This is because red belts only transport 30 items per second, whereas blue does 45 per second. The woven belt, the slower portion, needs to be overflowing with input or output, so it'll cause the factory to lag behind in some instances. Solar may be bad, but it's cheap and can act as a secondary backup source. How can solar be bad, I hear you ask? That's because Gleba has reduced solar effectiveness, so the otherwise consistent output is reduced. Here is the Boompuff. The question I leave to you, viewer, is whether or not it explodes. Place your bets in those comments down below, or keep it to yourself. After all, keeping your cards close to your chest. But, that's a move of a coward. The power solution to Gleba is to burn off all the excess. That becomes heat. Heat boils water. Water becomes steam. Steam turns the mine, and like that, 291 megawatts, ready to be spent. A quick overall test to see if the belts flow as they are supposed to. And it seems that they do. Now for the fruit processing and haha! Success. The belts are too bunched up together, but routing is something I have a ridiculous amount of experience in. That brief stint of C-Block really opened my eyes, and it makes me want to go back, but not yet. Slow and steady wins the race. Now onto the actual fruit processing blueprint itself, to repeat. Belt weaving isn't necessary. I just wanted to practice and play around with it. And the slight curve in the middle will allow me to, chuck nutrients using inserters. Spoilage recycling into nutrients via the assemblers, and inserters are configured to only grab certain items. Overall, I rate this glebtastic design a moderate 3 out of 10. The belt weaving really detracts, and I know I can do better. But with that design, I can now let the factory start to spool up and generate excess proper. That goes into another nutrient processing loop, which in turn gets fed into a jelly nut processing line. With both of those, I can now make bioflux at a reasonable rate. It's just mash and jelly, and with that, I can make rocket fuel. And iron, copper, bacteria. And eventually, science. If it hasn't clicked, Gleba lives and dies by how much bioflux you can output. Remember, whatever isn't used in the biochambers lines will spoil, so burn it off. Next comes that rocket fuel. Diesel machines are hungry. The rocket fuel itself is simple. Water, bioflux, and jelly, and like that, burnable interstellar reserves. And look at that, small yet dependable.
A growing organism, not yet fully cocooned.
This is the debug menu, and I'm using it right now to check how fast pollution is spreading. For you, this means nothing, but for me, it means everything. Just trust me on this. And now comes the dreaded part of Gleba that everyone seems to have issue with. Bacterial propagation for iron and copper is a knowledge check of, do you know how to use circuit logic? Not 7 decider combinators, a power switch, an arithmetic combinator, but rather an if statement. If the belt has X amount, shut off and do not let anything else through. In my case, I can handle the excess, so I just set both belts of mash and jelly to a low amount. It'll keep bacteria propagating and eventually lead into a wider bacteria chain. The key thing here is to remember that you will get an excess of spoilage.
Word of the day, huh? Excess.
Inspection aside, bacteria itself is chance-based, so you'll get lucky or not. But it'll be guaranteed eventually by the law of, probability? Statistics? Who knows? Next up, that soil with which to grow more fruits of labor. And now, to the immediate usage of said soil. Get that belt looping since it is so small, a splitter with an input priority to the looper, and like that, it'll cycle without issue. Hopefully. I'll skip over the second stage of bacteria making for now. It's simple, just a fresh specimen of bacteria, iron or copper, well, as fresh as it can be, and then some bioflux to rub it in, and it'll burst with life, and promptly spoil into iron and copper, respectively. Look at that, the starter base keeps on growing. A small detour to look at legumes, and the flamethrower turret has started a forest fire. That is truly unfortunate. Thankfully, I am not responsible in the slightest. Now we get to the newest edition Ships of Fools ads, and that is Boompuff Agriculture. The creatively named planet is highly explosive. Also, I said planet, not plant. Looks unsightly and produces hard wood. No, you cannot make the obvious joke of the morning. Such fruit is low-hanging and yielding. Though the base needs expansion, gears and pipes. Right, so, this is a change that might seem to be agony. It really isn't. Harvesting Boompuffs is not guaranteed at first. You have to research some good practices. 5% is the rate for now, and it is abysmally low. Not only that, but when harvested, they have a chance to explode. Before you ask, yes, this can chain react. Of course, I need some Boompuffs to start out the growing period, which presents its own problems. I will repeat myself, you are not to make the obvious and clear observation. No popping this lolly. But that's boring. The seed to make Boompuffs spoils. So now the question is posed to you once more. Will it explode in my pants? Place your bets. Money shot of the starter base once more. Just look at all that flow, and not a Dracul in sight to partake alongside the archangels. Now, with most of everything figured out, it's time to figure out rockets. Red and blue circuits need sulfur, but that requires an increased base size and more farming, so I loop back around to making carbon. It's simple. Spoilage in a biochamber, burned hexagon, and like that, a source of coal, and also activated carbon for steel, after a little bit of extra processing. The copper belt is overflowing, whereas the iron is going through drought. That isn't right, and I immediately know the problem. Said problem is incorrect filters. As iron bacteria spoils, the inserters are not configured to handle this. Don't know what to do, essentially.
What do you mean this squishy and goopy mass of blue slime has become rock solid? I'm only qualified to handle goop, not full-on metallic rocks.
The solution is quick and simple. Just add a filter for iron ore proper to train them. Now comes the answer, and it is explosion. An additional factoid is that Boompuffs scale with explosive damage research. Said research is infinite, and it is very amusing that Gleba now has a great source of explosive making at the cost of any error resulting in damage to the base overall. And yes, it can chain react still. Now go, my diesel agricultural tower. Remember, it has 49 plot radius and is overall better, faster, but it requires constant fuel input. Faster and stronger, but a different power source is needed. To repeat, it really stings whenever another precursor for circuits is required.
More production is required, and this wooden board is really starting to chafe.
The one benefit is the lumber mill's 50% productivity, and of course the infinite research. I think I'll be importing gold plate by the dozens in the late game.
Oh, this copper wasting is really making a way into eating my plans for yellow science.
Time to ponder the egg setup. Thankfully, it isn't horrible. The real issue is just getting hold of the eggs themselves to start the loop. The science, referred to as lime green here on out, is of agriculture. A lot of space-age science packs can be mass-produced easily. The problem is just all the prerequisites that it requires. Gleba is easy at first, but then you lose out on some research potential. Why is that? Why? Because it's spoils, of course. The more spoiled this tiny flask is, the less research it gives. You're never going to get 100% freshness. As such, most of the research costs are doubled or tripled for agri-science. To repeat for the 7th time, probably, excess is what Gleba strives for. Look at me, trying to figure out the fruits per second by using math. The assumed answer I got by is roughly 150 per second, but that seems way too high, and I doubt that is even true. I'm not sure what I was on. The diesel insert is just too slow to extract all the Yumiko, and in my mind I thought about it as a way to manage pollution, as if I was playing the Death World seed. I'm not. And quickly stopped my stupidity before it truly took hold of me. A good thing that Pelagos adds is spoil landfill, so rotten stone can make a lot more landfill. This can be used to pave over the swamps, because I lack the proper space for expansion. Yeah, I'll just skip over the weight for you. Ring the bell. The cascading explosions have hit, and ooh boy, did it hurt. My entire yield is gone. A little extra expansion to fix up my morale, and another set of processing. But, it's been long enough. And when we meet next, Gleba shall run, and Vulcanus will be set up as well. As per usual, if you enjoyed yourself, a request for subscription is asked. Like, dislike, comment, the usual bits of social standing and routes to give feedback are there for you to peruse. Check out my web novel, Expedition Service Record, on Wattpad. Enter the premises via the Discord, the RFKT Center. To keep up with things better, and head over to Patreon to give monetary and financial support if you deem so fit, or if your pockets allow. All the links to said areas are in the description down below, and in the link tree collected together, for you to poke and prod at. But if it is your first time here, or for the last, I thank you for your patronage, and shall see you later. Спасибо, братан.